Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Gateway Center here in College Park, Georgia. It is the 2025 Starry SWAC Basketball Tournament. We are the Black College Sports Network, of course, along with the Dean, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, as well as AD Drew from the BCSN Sports Wrap. I am Roy Evans, and we just had another nail-biter, Doc. The Lady Braves of Alcorn pulled it out as they were trailing going into the fourth quarter to beat the Lady Bulldogs of Alabama A&M. And you talk about a tale of two different quarters. When we sit here and you hear the excitement, all of the things that were going on, the A&M crowd was fanatical in here. It was loud, it was screaming, and all of a sudden, the Lady Braves came storming back to tie it up and eventually take the lead and get the W and moving on to the next round. Doc, what did you see in that last game?
Destiny Brown. I was trying to calculate. I think I seen that she made like the last 7 of the last 9 points in the game.
Wow.
And we think about her because she was Defensive Player of the Year that we talked about earlier in the week. But what she got done was on the offensive side of the ball with big buckets, big free throws, big offensive rebounds to get it done to lead the comeback. When it looked like Alabama A&M with about 5 minutes to go, as you were alluding to, were in control. And their fans were into it. The band was into it. Their AD, Dr. Bryant, was into it in terms of assistant AD.
Yeah.
All SWAs, they were all here lined up, celebrating because they were really doing some real good jobs. It was a back and forth game. 2 key turnovers by Alcorn straight that led to 2 fast break layups, 4 points for Alabama A&M about that 5-minute mark. Right. You was like, all right, right under 5, going to 4. And so you were like, all right, they're good. They're going to run this, and they're going to do what a number 3 seed does. Yep. But credit to Alcorn State, the Braves. Playing for a championship last year, you could tell that they had a lot of control, a lot of poise. And then that's when it turned to Destiny Brown. It came to Destiny Brown's show. She did miss 2 key free throws late that could have sealed it. They left the door just ajar enough. But A&M missed the 3-pointer, essentially killing the game. They made the layup, but it was right after the clock buzzed, so it was called off, no good. So the final score was that 56-53 in terms of that matchup. But, yeah, I give a lot of credit to Destiny Brown, particularly what she was able to do offensively, because you just really didn't look for that from her.
Well, Coach, that's what you get when you get big-time players in big-time moments. They step up and they do exactly what is needed for their team to be able to go on. So let's roll back. We're actually expecting a couple of guests, but let's talk about last night's game. We didn't get an opportunity as we shut down getting in because, y'all, it was late, and we were all ready to go after a long day. But the Tigers of Jackson State were able to knock off the Rattlers of Florida A&M in their second round match. Of course, Florida A&M without their star player being in the game and being able to do some different things.
Yeah, when you don't have your star player, it was amazing what they were able to do the first night over Crarey, because they got down early.
Right.
Did a lot of poise in that game. And while we didn't have a chance to do a show afterwards, it gave us an opportunity to go in the locker room and do the interview post-game. So we talked to both programs, and obviously Jackson State coach was excited that they were moving forward. The players, they all talked about, and you hear this time of the year, that they did not want their season to come to an end. Right. So the coach asked for focus. He thought he saw focus from his team. He talked about the fact that FAMU getting those 2 early games, and they controlled it. He said they deserved it, and they gave it to them in terms of a little trash talk that you get in this game.
Yes, sir.
They did not forget that, and he said it appreciated from the fact that he gave him a little more focus. Okay. He says it wasn't, he didn't say it in a derogatory form. He's just part of the game, right, that they earned the right to be able to talk that, right? And even FAMU's coach, to his credit, he said, we knew that we gave it to him. We talked a little bit about it, and you could tell that they came back with that energy tonight to try to refocus that. And he said, with us not having our play out, not having that additional energy, he said, and he came back and he gave a talk about the fact that we need to recognize FAMU, that they came in late in terms of the process, right? Yeah. And that his players were. He didn't get his assistant coaches in until late. And when I'm talking about late, we're talking about
summertime, right?
Right. He was hired late. So you think about a lot of momentum, but you can tell that FAMU, to their credit, I'll talk about them first because they lost the game after winning against Prairie View, coming from 9 down at halftime, is that this is going to energize them. He talked about this. It's a new part of the game, NIL. He said he wanted to make sure his job is to see what he can do to get those 2 players that one gave 30 points in that matchup last night. And I'll get you his name shortly here in terms of Kofi. The third gave you 3, and then Milk, in terms of what he was able to do in that game, was huge. Matthews. So he wanted to bring them 2 guys back, so he talked about the NIL. But he said that he's going to do everything in his power for FAMU to be back in this and take the next step. That he wants to see FAMU be the best they can be. He wants to have this program the best that it's been in FAMU history. And so he is working towards that. So I thought that was huge, and I wanted to say that before we get out of here. Well, but to credit, because we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Jackson State, right?
No, we will, because what I want to say, it's funny when you talk about that.
Go ahead.
As I was ending up last night, we were packing up out of here, I had about 4 Rattlers that I did not know personally. I had on my hoodie last night that all came by, and they all said the same thing. Man, we're gonna be in good hands with our basketball program.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time since we've been able to say
They
that.
had that pride and say
So
that. Yeah.
people are
And
excited.
to your point, I told a lot of folks, Charles and I was like,
Yeah.
FAMU's going to be a problem on the men's side.
Yes, sir.
Right? I
Yes,
think
sir.
there's some work to do on the women's side, and I think they can get there. But you can tell the extension is coming. And we both looked at each other and said this, FAMU's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And we've covered this conference for a long time.
Right.
And so credit to them with that. But I want to give some love
Those
to Jackson
Tigers.
State.
Let's talk about those
Tigers,
Tigers.
they got it, the team that won. You can tell they came in with a focus, and Coach Mo talked about that. But the players had a focus too, that they don't want their season to end. And every time that FAMU made a run, to their credit, they would get it down to 5. They would get it down to 3. And they would have the ball. Jackson State would come up with a key defensive stop, and then they would get the score to push it back to 5 or push it back to 7. And then you could tell at the end, you could see FAMU just running out of that energy, and Jackson State making play after play to stretch it to 17. So it was a big win yesterday. I really appreciate it.
And that's what I was going to talk about. The fact that they jumped out. The first thing they did is they jumped out early. They got out to about a 15-point lead, I believe it was, at the very beginning of the game, going into halftime. And it wasn't until late in the second half when FAMU started making those runs. They had like 3 runs back-to-back where they got the score down to within 5 or 6, like you said. But like Coach said, to his credit, either one of his players made a big 3 for Jackson State, or they made a huge defensive stop and play on FAMU.
Yep.
And that's deflating.
Yeah,
And then,
you're right. It is deflating when you make that run because they were down 15, and you get it close, and you can't.
You can't get over that hump.
Enough to get over the hump to change that momentum. And the other thing was Roderick, they call him Roddy, the coach called him, is that you had Deshaun Ruffin that countered that with 29 points.
Yeah.
Well, then the other thing when you think about the rest of Jackson State is the fact that they had their 5 starters in the double digits. They all scored at least 13-plus points across the board. And so when you get that kind of production that's shared, one is hard defensively because you can't just focus on one person.
You don't know who to go
They're
after.
getting away. So Manziel had 14 to give you in the post. Grant gave you 17. McMillan gave you 13. Hunt gave you 15 in terms of your starters. And as I said, Deshaun Ruffin gave you 29 to match the 30 that Ruffin got. When you had that, that's when you kind of get away and you get that 91-76 finish in terms of that matchup. So those are kind of things that's fascinating when you talk about these matchups. But then the other one is going to be interesting here as we kind of turn the page and get into this next matchup as we see the teams warming up. You got Texas Southern under Coach Johnny Jones. And you're folks fun-lovingly talking about Atlanta as, their city, FAMU, Atlanta, and those kind of things, talking about Jackson likes to talk about Auburn when they had their run, that this is their city and they would have their coin to what that looks like in terms of those emotions. So it's very fun in terms of that one. And then in terms of what that looks like, Johnny Jones has been in the championship ever since he joined.
I was about to say.
First time last year with Grambling, they lost.
Don't they usually call this the Johnny Jones Invitational?
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. So
you got a matchup with Alabama State. They tied in regular season and record, but this is a matchup between teams that are separated, so I'm interested to see what that looks like. When you talk about Texas Southern coming in at 12-6, Alabama State coming in at 12-6, this is a 4-5 matchup in terms of seeding.
So on paper, the most even matchup in the tournament.
Yep, on paper, it's certainly the most even matchup. In terms of these teams have had really good runs where they've stacked up a couple of wins, playing really good basketball, but they've also had a couple of tough losses. One of the things that Texas Southern will want to lean on is some injuries that they had that they would like to say helped in terms of inflicted some of the wounds. Alabama State has some of that too, but they're led by their point guard, the coach's son. So it's going to be fascinating to see what that kind of looks at when you talk about that. In a lot of ways, Texas Southern is going to go the same way. Smaller in stature is their point guard, but when he's on, it's a tough matchup in terms of what that looks like in terms of that. Here's some final stats in terms just to give you those updates as we were talking about. Fascinating when you see what that looks like. Give you some of the shooting percentage from this last game before we get back in this matchup. It's Alcorn shot 41% field goals, while Alabama A&M just shot 30%. In a lot of ways, that's key in terms of those matchups. Obviously, you always want to look at the turnovers. Alcorn, turnovers 26, turnovers Alabama A&M 15. So that tells you a different point of the story, which allowed A&M to get in the game, but that shooting percentage didn't end. They couldn't really stop them in that low post in that game, which to me kind of brings you back to what we're talking about here. Can Texas Southern be effective in their low post game? Or will Alabama State control it from their offensive side on the outside? Will they be able to have free-flowing matchups in terms of what they want to do, controlling the ball in and out, getting to the basket? Can they shoot effectively from the three? And more importantly, as we always like to look at these games, who's going to get the mid-range? Who's going to get the mid-range going?
Well, Doc, and it's funny, it's interesting. That's one of the things. We are looking at two contrasting styles of basketball and what is happening just in basketball across the board in general. That was another issue that we didn't talk about with the Jackson State FAMU game last night. Their bigs were eating. Right. Jackson State's bigs were in the paint, and they were going on. They had
probably one of their best games, especially as a duo together. They had one of their best games. There goes frat brother there, Coach
so that,
Talladega, getting it done.
So, that's going to be, like you said, that's with Coach Jones and his team going up against that smaller team in Alabama State. Are they going to be able to stay up and down the court? Are they going to be able to keep those bigs from posting up and doing what they want to and dictating the pace of this game? Because you would think that Alabama State wants this game to be up and down as much as possible. So we're going to keep going. Now, Doc, let's just talk about, I think we got Coach Crarey's on his way up here now.
Oh, good.
To come in and talk to us. So, yeah, he's coming up the stairs right now, and we'll get him in to come in. So, here's what we have to look at. Now, I've been asking this question of everybody. I haven't had the –
Hold on. We got Coach
Crarey's coming in.
Yeah. We got Coach Crarey coming in, and then we'll talk.
We got Coach Crarey. So, I'm glad that we're here in Atlanta. Since we've been talking, I've been advocating the HBCUs move everything to Atlanta. I know we can't move everything, but as much as possible, we'd love for them to be able to bring things in. And right now, folks, as you can see, we are being joined by head coach Pratchett Crarey of the Florida A&M Rattlers. And listen, as a Rattler, again, I just said this to Coach earlier. I said it to Doc a little while ago. As a Rattler who was at FAMU during the heyday of our basketball program in the late 80s, early 90s, I am glad to have this man on the sidelines, man. Listen.
Hey, and a guy over here in Texas, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Charles, and I'm serious about this, Coach. I've seen a lot of coaches come through this program.
Yeah.
I got a chance to talk to you to open things up, and I heard your story. Follow from the sideline, if you would, about what went down in terms of getting in there. But when I talked with you, and then after last night, we walked back, and Charles and I said, the SWAC going to be in trouble.
FAMU's going to be his exact words. Let me clarify. The exact words he said was FAMU going to be a problem. we like being a problem, folks. Coach, talk to us a little bit about the game first and just some of the things that went on with you.
A game last night, crazy game. I mean, Jackson played amazing. They played great basketball.
Yeah,
I mean,
really
I thought we fought there in the second half. Shaq came in the locker room.
Oh, really?
Shaq came in the locker room. He gave us a piece of his mind. He said, and he got us ready to go. I ain't had to say much after he finished talking.
There you go.
So we came out in the second half, play hard. Big shout out to my man, the Diesel. And so I thought we played. At first they just pushed us so hard, so physical, so early. And guys, Shannon Grant, Manziel, motivated.
Tough.
Don't nobody want to see them too motivated in this league. So they were really motivated to play against us just because of how things went early in the year, and we beat them both times, and we kind of let them know, and they let us know a lot last night how they were doing. And so, I think for the game we got back in it, but just didn't have enough. I just don't think we had enough leg-wise the second half, and then we had that big and one. We got it to 6, and then he comes right back down. 24 hits the 3, and I had told our guys, I said, look.
Yep.
When we got those awards and everything, I said, you got to understand, you two got awards. Everybody in this building hates you now.
That's right.
So they are going to come to kill us. And he came through, and he played a great game yesterday, and he had all the big shots, and really deserve it. But I was proud of our guys, how they fought there, how they didn't give up. Disappointed in some of our individual performances, but it's the playoffs. You can't duck no smoke, you know.
Yeah,
but we definitely missed Sterling yesterday, though. Who's winning the conference tournament without the player of the year? I mean, we've been working miracles this year, but Lord, it was going to be tough for us to get the whole thing done without Sterling because he's such a good player. But I was really happy with our guys, how they competed down there and didn't quit.
I want to talk a little bit more about going back to this season, because you talk about that key matchup with getting Jackson State. And you got them, if my memory serves me right after a huge comeback on the road, Alcorn Straight, which to me kind of, y'all went on a roll after that, which was the second part of the season, if you would, within the conference play that lifted you to the hub. I think at the end, things kind of got away with you, and I wanted that was a little bit when you talk about the depth they played off in the tournament. Talk about what took place in that comeback to Alcorn that kind of lifted you to this next step to put you in a position to even get in the tournament.
When we talk about the championships that we'll have at Florida A&M in the next few years, we're going to think about that game at Alcorn.
Yeah,
down,
I knew it.
They couldn't make shots. We were 0 for 8 from 3 at half. I think they had 7 threes. Didn't panic. We told our guys we're going to make shots. They're not going to make any more. We'll be good. And we execute. That was our best game of executing in the second half. We executed every single out-of-bounds timeout. We executed baseline out-of-bounds, and then we made shots. One thing, you run the play right, you got to finish the play. So it was a huge win. The next day we were without Sterling because he was kind of hurt that the game too. And
okay.
He didn't play against Jackson State that first time. We went to their house and we got them in that game. But they weren't ready for us. They took us lightly. We're, Florida A&M basketball. We didn't really move the needle. We didn't really move the needle. And so
that's changing.
It's changed.
Okay.
It's changed. It's changed.
Correct.
And so it's changed. And so, when we went to them that first time, I don't think they were. Most said it in press conference. They weren't really ready for us, and we played well. Like we played really well. Played together for almost 40 minutes in that game. And that got us on that run. That gave us that confidence. And so after that, I think we won 5. That was our 4th straight win. Then we went home and won 5. Then we lost that heartbreaker to Alabama A&M by 1.
Yep.
Then we won 4 in a row again.
Yep.
Then guess what happened? We lost to Alabama State by a heartbreaker again.
Yeah.
So, even with the end of our season, down the stretch, losing like 4 of those last 5
that
going
heartbreaker
in.
to Bethune-Cookman.
You had 1 point at Alabama, 1 point at Bethune. You had 3 points against Southern. So we were right there, but that's also the maturity of your program, the depth, the mental fatigue that it takes to get through a long season, and the toughness it takes to get it done on an everyday basis. And I think you look at our roster, nobody on our team had ever averaged 10 points in Division I when the season started. Like nobody.
Wow.
So for our guys to kind of get them up and get them amped up and get them ready to go for the year, to see them mature, have that confidence was huge.
Yeah. Let's talk about moving forward a little bit then, before we have to let you go. What does it take to construct? Now you've been a year in the league. You see the road trips, how you go through all it, the mechanics, all the things behind the scenes that fans really don't think about.
And coaches don't think about either when you're not doing it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Certainly from the media perspective, we just into it day to day, but I like to share insights. What do you see now in regards to what do you want to get done in the offseason to take the next step that you talk about building FAMU Rally basketball?
I think personal development for me first. I think the program starts with the head coach, so I'm just need to develop. I need to get better at a few things. And I'll make sure I do that. Just the relationship with our guys and the guys that we bring in, and the background, and the homework, and we kind of rush this class. It's kind of a rush class. So sometimes you just take a guy without really getting that full intel. Kim English talked about it yesterday at Providence. Like doing everything that he had to do to intel every person he brings into his program.
Wow.
Really developing my assistants as well.
I'm sure with NIL that is even more.
Important. And then with my assistants as well, like getting with my assistants and helping them understand what we're going to do, so it brings down and we're all on one accord to move down to our players. And then this offseason, like really developing our team and our character, I think. In that summertime, everybody's worried about conditioning. We really got to develop our character and our chemistry.
Okay.
We didn't spend a lot of time together that wasn't on the court. Now, that's because I was the only coach there for the summer. I ain't had no money, and so I couldn't really, figure it out, take them to eat, or, we didn't really have that. But we're going to set that in place for them to really get them comfortable this summer. So we can kind of build the program together and really talk and really have that insight, so we're really fighting for each other, know what we're going for, for a full season. So that's, to me, the really big thing for us.
I appreciate that insight.
And developing our team. And it's all about personal and development growth and holding ourselves accountable each and every day to get better. So I looked at myself in the mirror this morning and just said, you didn't do enough.
Yeah.
Next year, don't ever be in this spot again where you look yourself in the mirror and say you didn't do enough.
Yeah, I like that. I can take that back to the classroom.
Y'all heard him say he actually had time to build a program as opposed to just having to grab some pieces, put them together, and make some real good gumbo.
I told you.
But Coach,
so ain't going to be a problem.
Let me do Drew, you had a question that you wanted to ask? Okay. Oh, okay. So let me. I did have some questions. Let's talk a little bit about what you do want to build as a type of a program. We've seen you play with what you had, and there's a statement. Everybody who works with the network knows I have the saying that I always do: do what you can until you can do what you want.
There you go. I like that.
That means being accessible to what your tools are and fixing your plan to fix the tools that you have, as opposed to try. We see a lot of coaches that try to force players into their style of what they want to do.
Yep.
Going forward, what type of players are you looking for to put into this program?
Well, the first
this is for the alumni. Pay attention so you know who to send the emails on, and don't be sending us nobody that don't fit the program.
5'11" point guard.
Right.
From your uncle's high school. Get out of here.
Right. Yeah.
Not replying back.
Not D1.
No,
not D1.
Not D1. But first is length. If you ain't 6'8" and long and athletic, don't even call me. I really think in this league you need 4 guards that are good that you can trust. The other 10 people need to be 6'8", long, or tough, physical, and athletic, so you have that depth down there. It was probably the biggest difference in the last night's game, just our depth on the perimeter. So we still need to get more shooting. I think with Sterling out today, it kind of hurt us, and we recruited some guys to make some shots on this team that didn't this year, and I think some of it had to do with their size and their ability. So getting some more shooting with size will be big for us, and then some more straight physicality and athleticism as well. On that front end. I talked to Johnny Jones just now. He's one of my mentors in the league. Well, mentors, period. And so we just talked before the game, and I said, Johnny, if you ain't 6'8", I ain't talking to you. He said, Pat, you know
fact.
that. He said
fact.
Yeah. You see Johnny's teams.
Yeah.
Johnny got about 3 guards.
Yep.
And about 11 dudes on that team, long as hell.
All of them.
And so
all these forwards and then some bigs.
Yeah. So we got to get more physical. I do think that the league will adjust to us, though.
Okay.
The league will adjust. You'll see more shooting in this league next year.
Okay.
You'll see more shooting in this league. It happens all the time. The league will adjust, and we'll get better.
I guess Drew does have a question now. 1 minute, you're saying. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I look back. We got 4 minutes. We'll be all right. We got a couple of minutes. Go ahead and finish what you were saying.
With the cheat code.
He code right. I'm turning around.
You'll get us in trouble, Coach. That's all right.
But no, Coach, seriously. So, folks, first off, you hear that. If your guard ain't super nice and he's not 6'7" or something,
don't call me.
Don't call him.
Talk a little bit about
it's obvious. If you're 6'2" and you're good, I'm going to define you. Okay?
Right.
I'll take care of those guys.
Yeah.
Send me the 6'8s.
Yeah. But talk about the importance of that. Not only league play, but in non-conference play, oftentimes that will help you too.
Well, yeah.
It can be a little challenge because when you go across. But for those that may not understand, why do you see the league moving in that direction? Because I saw it about a couple of years ago, starting.
Well, just basketball's moving in that direction.
Okay.
I said it when I came, like basketball is basketball, and they shot that ball well last night.
Yeah, no doubt.
We were the 2 of the top three
That's right.
shooting teams in the league last year. So I think you'll see a lot more shooting in the league next year. I definitely will see how things go with the NIL space in the league. I think it's going to go up.
Yeah.
I think people are going to get creative. There's some teams in our league that were very creative on how they were able to work their NIL this year. And Jackson State was one of them.
Yep.
They got to Ashley's
He's leading the conference in that.
Ashley's a beast.
Yep. And he just talked about the fact surcharges on tickets, so he's taking the next step.
Ashley a beast, but don't get it twisted. Angela is ready.
Yeah. She's good too.
Angela's ready.
I told her I like the fact with the ticket she did spreading it out individual.
Yeah.
I think I've been asking for that in the league for 10 years.
Well, look at
so that first step. So I like a lot of stuff she's doing. I agree with you.
Well, like me, I got here and kind of just threw me in here. Angela, they just kind of threw her in here too.
That's
so
correct.
like we get time to build together. To really work on different things, different resources, different plans of action.
Absolutely.
To get together, we're going to have conversations all week. So I look forward to spending. I'll be here until Sunday. So just talking, building relationships, and then doing some recruiting out here in Atlanta. We know how good the players are here in Atlanta. So
I want to ask one more. What are your thoughts in terms of playing games?
Coach, can't take her from Morehouse now. You can't take her from Morehouse.
Man, turn that down.
Look, he gonna get what he can get.
Turn that down.
He's not playing with you.
Right. Turn that down.
So I want to know, what are your thoughts in terms of playing more games against like MEAC or even the independent HBCUs like Tennessee State, A&T? How challenging is that, or is there value in it?
I would love to do a MEAC SWAC challenge. Why don't we have a MEAC SWAC challenge?
Don't worry, Coach. Now that you said it, we're going to work with it, and we're going to see about moving that game. We'll have that conversation. Seriously. We've actually been talking about doing something like that in December, a preseason basketball.
We need to,
I think there's two. I think there's the process of like independent groups trying to put it together. But also, you're talking about from a league perspective. Why doesn't the league and the two commissioners work and see what's there?
Let's push that narrative on the shows.
Yeah, I agree.
We got to get ready to get out of here now.
Right.
So, Coach, first, again, thank you. Thank you for coming to sit down and talking with us. Thank you for reviving that which is the Florida A&M basketball fanatical fans that we were looking back to have. Folks, get ready. Tune on over to ESPN Plus.
You're gonna be a problem.
Texas Southern versus Alabama State. We might be back at halftime. We'll definitely be back at the end of the game. You're watching the BCSN Game Time Show live from the Gateway Center here at College Park at the Starry 2025 SWAC Basketball Tournament presented by Buick. Next time.